Today on Locked On Rockies, the starters remain great. The Rockies go up against the best team in baseball and win 2 out of 3. Should have been 3 out of 3. What's that mean for the Colorado Rockies?
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, welcome into the Locked On Rockies podcast for today, the 27th day of May, also known as Memorial Day if you are in the U.S. Here on the Locked On Rockies podcast, we're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies talk right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where you can find your team every day. Shout outs to our everydayers out there, the folks that tune in each and every day and make us your first listen of the day. We appreciate you. Appreciate all of you tuning in for sure. Rockies, what a weekend, huh? How about that? The weirdo Rockies, especially in the wake of how things ended in Oakland. You kind of got to be some interesting feelings, mixed feelings for sure about the Colorado Rockies right now. We're going to talk about it as well as their handling of the best team in baseball this season here at Coors Field and lots more, all on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. But hey, want to thank you again for making us your first listen of the day. Want to remind you we're free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Just search Locked On Rockies or go to the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. If you want to help the show grow, if you want to support the channel, we are on the push for 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Really hoping to hit that by the All-Star game. If you can help us reach that goal, really appreciate it. You'll also be more, you can hit the little notification bell. You'll know when the episodes are going up, so you can tune in when you want. But whether you're tuning in on your way to work, whether you're tuning in at home, wherever you're tuning in, thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Rockies. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. All right, folks, Rockies take 2 out of 3 from Philly. And in reality, the Rockies had a chance of taking 3 of 3 from Philly if it wasn't for the bullpen being the bullpen. We're not going to talk about the bullpen yet, but we're going to instead focus on the good stuff and instead focus on the fact of when you're looking at stuff to give a legit qualifier to the Rockies, when the Rockies are pointed out with situations when they play as bad as they play, it's infuriating because that's how you protect Coors Field. I mean, that's a hostile Coors Field environment all weekend long. MVP chance for Bryce Harper after he hits that home run. Rockies, of course, get lucky in the first game with Bryce Harper getting ejected. And I guess I'll start there. Ridiculous. Unbelievable. Get over yourself, umpire. I'm sorry. Bryce Harper, yes, here's my thing. In the modern game of baseball, in today's game of baseball, helmet spiking and that type of stuff ain't all that big of a deal. It's also Bryce Harper. I know he's been ejected more than anybody. I think there was the graphic that kept going around the internet. He was ejected 21 times. That's because he gets targeted for that stuff and he gets unfairly bashed for being a little bit more fired up and passionate. Now, Bryce Harper's kind of an a-hole, and we've seen that, as you see by the title of the video of this. I'm poking fun at Bryce Harper for his past comments about the Colorado Rockies. But people pay to see Bryce Harper. They don't pay to see you, Mr. Umpire. So to throw him out after the first inning is a bit ridiculous, but at the same time, that's how it goes. And you're the Phillies. You're supposed to be able to rock and roll, and you're supposed to be able to handle that. You're supposed to be able. That's supposed to not be. You've done it all year, and instead your offense is only able to put up 2 against it. And at that point, it wasn't even the elite. This is Ty Block that goes 6 2/3, giving up only those 2 earned runs, and I believe they were both just solo shots against him. And the Rockies, you know what? Like, it's tough. You're sitting there, you're like, man, it's Ty Block. He's another moment where the Rockies aren't giving run support. But that's the other thing. The Rockies went up against elite pitching and got the job done, following up them getting after an elite closer. I know how that game ended, but it's a little bit interesting and a reminder of baseball being baseball and the law of averages coming back. Eventually, these elite players, especially pitchers, are going to have their off days. And for the Rockies to be able to now go up against elite starting pitchers of the Phillies, Miller of the A's, and have success against them, that's the type of confidence booster that's going to help you. And that's the type of confidence booster that helps you take 2 out of 3 from the best team in baseball. I mean, Christopher Sanchez for the Phillies. I know he wasn't, he's not Nola and he's not a Ranger there, but he wasn't able the Rockies were able to ding him up and had plenty of opportunities. 7 hits, only 2 strikeouts. And that first game against the Phillies in the game in the game winner there, where they of course got the late heroics from Jacob Stallings with the big home run in a crucial situation. The Rockies weren't getting blown away by the strikeout in this series, and you saw how important that was. You saw how important that it was that the Rockies were getting productive outs through each and every game. That's what helped keep them in. That's what helped keeps the momentum. And you know what? You got to just set up a moment and you got to just trust that Jacob Stallings, if anybody can come up big at Coors. Anybody with the bat in their hands with confidence at the dish can come up in a moment and come up big. That's the beauty of Coors, the benefits of the offense. Yes, with the ball flying further, with all of that, with the pitches not moving as much. Anybody can step up in that situation like Jacob Stallings and have that moment. Leading into Ezequiel Tovar continues to be incredible. I mean, flat out, plain and simple. Ezequiel Tovar is insane. He continues to be a massive contributor to this Rockies team. He continues to be someone that impacts the game at every single level, gets a hit in every single one of the ball games that against Philly. The strikeouts certainly still an issue, but still getting on base, still being impactful. Last 7 games for Tovar, 324 batting average, 343 OBP, and a slugging of 588. He's got 2 home runs in that time, 4 RBI, a walk, and 11 hits. And those are extra base hits too. We know he's the doubles machine. We haven't seen someone this efficient at hitting doubles since Todd Helton. That's statistically proven. I mean, there's no one that has this quickly gathered up as many doubles and extra base hits as Ezequiel Tovar in Rockies history. Todd Helton's the only one. I mean, it's the storylines like that. It's the things when you see in those games that remind you that there is that the record and the bad about the Rockies is so frustrating, because when the talent shines on this team, again, it's not the best in baseball, but it's much better than the record is. It's much better than the reputation. So it's the consistency now. So the Rockies had a moment there where in reality they should have been coming off of it should be back-to-back series wins for the Rockies. It really should. But now, you have that same type of opportunity you just had against Philly coming again here with the Guardians, another elite top-level team with great pitching coming into your ballpark. How do you respond? How do you handle it? We'll see. But this is the type of stretch, that we thought was going to sink the Rockies. For it to start with the series win against Philly, that changes things. You take the series from Cleveland, you feel a lot better about going into the Dodgers, who are struggling right now. The Rockies, obviously a get-right team for a lot of teams, but who knows what at that point? It's another series. Who knows where the Dodgers might be at before the Rockies head to the road? But you know one thing, you have the confidence rolling. It wasn't the Rockies didn't just eke out a couple of wins against the Phillies. The Rockies beat the Phillies. The Rockies stifled their offense in most of the games except for the 9th inning on Saturday. That was the 9th inning on Saturday was the only real damage inning. And of course you're disappointed by that, but the Rockies get up and they score 3 straight runs against Aaron Nola in that game by having great approaches at the dish, by drawing walks, by being timely with their hits, and put themselves in a position to win that game up until a historic meltdown in the 9th. And that's an issue. Absolutely. It's a massive issue. But then the Rockies respond by going up against, by dominating one of the best pitchers in baseball. I mean, that was, and I don't know if I haven't seen it. I still wait now ever since that Rays bullpen pitcher complained about the baseballs. I still wait for a starter to come out and tell me about the baseball. So I was ready to see if maybe Ranger Suarez was going to come out. But the Rockies still hang 4 on him while striking out 9. That's being efficient. That's taking advantage. And it's also still making sure you're putting the ball in play. We know how big an error is, or a bigger role error is played in that game in the finale. But for the Rockies to jump out to that 5 spot and then, and then be in cruise control, unfortunately, too many times where the Rockies start out hot and then it's like 10, 12 people set in a row. That's what we saw on Sunday. But then you turn to the fact that starting pitching has been a strength for this team. And yesterday, the bullpen responded. The bullpen, including Tyler Kinley, who was part of the miscues, the issues. He has a strong inning. Caracetti has another strong inning. Nick Mears comes out. The bullpen got the job done yesterday. And for them, that's the type of feeling you got to have. That's the type of script you got, or switch you got to flip. It's still far from perfect, but they had an opportunity. They had 9 outs to get. The bullpen needed to get 9 outs to not spoil another Cal Quantrill out, because you know what? The Rockies went up against, they got you 5 against Suarez. That's enough. With that elite level talent that they're facing, the offense isn't always going to be able to do something like that. For them to put the 5 spot up, and then the Rockies pitching staff to navigate that with Cal Quantrill, who has been incredible, able to keep them off the board, and then the bullpen to come in and slam the door. That's good stuff. The Rockies able to navigate issues when Quantrill was dealing with base runners, when there was traffic, when there was opportunities for the Phillies. The Rockies responded in that game. They responded to the blown game. They responded to the best team in baseball. They responded with a win. They responded with the series win. And Bryce Harper and the Phillies are the ones that leave the losers. First series loss for the Phillies since April. That's what the experience of going into Coors Field has to be. And that wasn't even a big-time Coors game. You could say what you will about the home runs or this or that. But the Rockies just played a solid 2 out of 3 games of baseball. And they played a solid almost 3 games of baseball with the exception of one bad inning. Rockies were in a position to steal another 1-run win from Philly before things all fell apart. All right, let's take a break and let's actually talk about the pitching. I want to talk about the bullpen. I want to talk about the starters. Let's talk about that. And then later on in the show, of course, we will talk about the Beck injury. We will talk all sorts of stuff about Rockies news and notes as well here ahead of another day game today. So stick with us. Before we do that, we got to talk about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes Game Time. I love Game Time, folks. Game Time is the best spot to buy tickets. It's really not even close for me. I don't use any other sites. I don't go anywhere else. I go to Game Time. I either plan ahead and buy tickets ahead of time because it lets me do that, or I wait until 10 minutes before the event starts, and I do it. I did it for the All-Star game. I do it for concerts. I do it for the best prices because they drop, and Game Time has great deals all the time. And you know what? I'm confident in where I'm sitting because I'm going to take when I open up the Game Time app and when I'm about to buy my tickets, I get a picture of my seat. I know exactly where I'm going to sit. I know exactly the type of view, and I click in the all-in pricing button, and I'm going to know all the cost. I know where I'm sitting. I know what I'm paying for. I know where I'm going, all in about 4 taps on my phone. Easy peasy. It doesn't get better than Game Time. Plus, they got the Game Time guarantee. The Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a deal in the same section as you, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. If you need tickets for today's game, check out Game Time. Terms do apply. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. This is the Locked On Rockies podcast. Yes, it is true. We are indeed free and streaming on your favorite streaming services and available on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel where you can be part of the show. You can fire off your Rockies hot takes. You can let me know what's on your mind. And yeah, check it out. Subscribe. Hey, make sure too, for all your play-by-play action for all your sports needs, you got SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. They got your Rockies play-by-play action all season long. So don't miss out on that. Check out all the baseball fun there. All right, let's talk about Rockies pitchers here in this series and Rockies pitchers of late. I got to fire up a couple of tweets on the old tweet machine here, so bear with me. Let's see here. Oh, in case you're curious, that was a sellout at Coors Field yesterday. Just Just a heads up. Here's from Blake Street Banter. Cal Quantrill, quality start machine. His last 5 starts have all been quality for the Rockies. Stats over his last 5. 31 and 2/3 innings, 6 earned runs, and 1.7 ERA. Oh, man. That's elite, man. That's great stuff. And it's been, I mean, that's 5 starts now. I mean, this is a really solid run that he's on, and he's someone that seems to have really embraced pitching for the Rockies, pitching for Coors Field, and someone that is going to be, I think developing into a leader on this team. I mean, you look at at those quality starts, and you're like, oh, what's the competition like? All right, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, San Diego, Oakland, and Philly. But San Francisco, you have to factor in the Rockies' history against them. Pittsburgh at the, it was still was a different team at the beginning of May, and trying to straighten up their stuff. San Diego is an interesting, team that it's always looking to break through, and Oakland is whatever. You have to be able to handle the bad teams, and now you got Philly. So you worry a little bit when you look at Quantrill's start against, say, like a team like Houston, but since that start in Houston, it has been a month of dominance for Cal Quantrill. It's an adjustment. It's confidence. It's him going up against a great team in Philly and taking it. We taking him down. We can look and see from the performances of Quantrill this year that he has pitched very well. I mean, again, is he going to win the Cy Young? No. Is he the most dominant pitcher in baseball? No. But if you give your team a quality start, you can't really ask for anything more. If your team is given a quality start, you're putting them in a position to win. At that point, you did your job. If you're a starting pitcher and you get a quality start, your job is done, and your job is done well. And that's what Cal Quantrill has done for the Colorado Rockies. You just simply can't deny that. And mixed in with the fact that, Ty Block responds. Austin Gomber has been incredible. We talked about him on the crossover on Friday. There's many signs to point to that these starters have been paving the way for the Rockies. It just is unfortunate when it's marred by this bullpen being as bad as it's been at certain points. Here's a stat from OptaStats. There have been 4 instances in Major League Baseball this season where a team was leading in the 9th inning or later, only to give up 5+ runs in that inning and surrender that lead. All 4 were by the Rockies. April 5th, April 30th, May 23rd, and tonight. I mean, that's insane. I mean, I know there was some Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde talk from Bud Black as well, but I mean, that just highlights the extremes that this team goes through and faces sometimes, where it's just like, is it just baseball? Like, I don't know, but think about it. If the Rockies hang on to those leads, you add 5 wins to their win total right now for the Rockies, and you take 5 losses away from the L column, right? You flip the script on those games where the Rockies have those leads in this season. The Rockies are 22 and 29. I mean, and that feels a heck of a lot better than 18 and 34. My math might not be the best. I think it's 23 and 29. So even a little bit better maybe, but regardless, like I said, the threads are there. The pieces are somewhat there. The foundational pieces, I think that you're pretty confident on. But as you navigate these things, I mean, it just, the Rockies can't continue to live in this world of extremes. The Rockies can't continue to live in this world of making history all the time, and the weird history and the worst types of history and things of that matter. Because when you see this team perform like they do against Philly and perform that way at home as well, I mean, you're encouraged by this Rockies team. You hate how the 2 series ended, because the Rockies certainly could have had a road trip that made me feel a little more confident in saying this. But it's a team that showed more life on the road in their most recent road trip, especially going to a place that, California is never the easiest place to play for them. And then to go back at home and to not really experience too much of a hangover or a dip compared to other times leading into this series win, there is momentum here, and there's you can still see the good in the Rockies. It just gets so marred by this bullpen, man. I mean, it's just unacceptable for the Rockies to go through games like they did on Saturday. I mean, it mixed in with the fact that they, that Thursday game too, because like Dakota Hudson, man, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, putting you in a good spot. Victor Vodnik, it comes in and it's a little shaky. You can't. It's here. The next 3 pitchers for the Rockies walks in their bullpen, and there was too many free passes by pitching. Starters doesn't matter, but Jalen Beeks, it comes in, gives up an earned run, and Justin Lawrence. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is they got to figure out. I don't know what it is they got to do. I don't know what adjustments they got to make. I don't know what the changes in situations are. But Justin Lawrence just it's not working right now. In his last 7 appearances for the Rockies, in the last 8 innings he's pitched, he's got more walks than strikeouts. He's got a whip of over 2. He's given up 10 hits. He's got an ERA of almost 7, 6.48. I still believe that there's something there. I think Justin Lawrence is someone that still can be malleable a little bit, but the career stuff, it hasn't fully ironed out, especially when it comes to control. The walks are killer. They are just such a big deal, such a way to ruin any sort of momentum you got going on. When you're talking about biggest concerns for the Rockies, it's closer. I can now safely say the starters are what they are. I think the starters now, even Ty Block and the Feltners and the players that are still kind of looking to make their statement as we wait for Kyle Freeland to get back and stuff. The starters haven't been the problem this year, other than since the start of the season. It's been the bullpen. And again, it's where, how much, what type of moves are the Rockies going to have to make to fill that position? Because I don't necessarily think you can sit here and be any sort of confident in bringing Justin Lawrence out at the end of ball games right now. Justin Lawrence might have, he might have pitched his way out of the closer role and pitched his way into a, 7th inning type of guy role. But it is really stressful that the Rockies don't have someone that they can confidently turn to in the bottom of the 9th, top of the 9th, whatever, and just shut the door. There is no true closer with this team, and that will continue to be a problem. Absolutely. All right, let's just recap any of the other notes. We'll talk about the Beck injury. We'll talk about we'll just wrap things up. Get ready for another day game here as well. Coming up on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Before we do that, though, got to tell you about the folks that help make this show possible, and that includes SupplyHouse. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. You might be listening to this at on the site right now, or maybe heading to the site, or we're getting ready to head to work. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you, yes, you, get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400,000 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get an expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person. Yes, a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Locked On Rockies podcast, free and streaming on those streaming services and on the Locked On Rockies YouTube channel. All your Rockies play-by-play action available on SiriusXM and the SiriusXM app. Don't miss out on that. Also, don't miss out on Locked On Sports Today, the 24/7 streaming channel available to you on YouTube or the Amazon Fire TV channels app. Check it out there and mix up your daily sports content viewing. Learn something new. Go check out a new team. Go check out a new Locked On host. Jordan Beck, unfortunately, breaks his hand. Sean Bouchard called up. Great looking play up until his hand. And, his approach or his mindset to the injury was kind of, I think, the one you have to have at that point. There's only so much you really can do. It's just one of those things. And, hopefully it's one where it's young. I did some quick Google doctor searching. It sounds like it might be something where in a month and some change, you might be able to get back. So after the break, maybe, we'll be able to see Beck and have him, still get some solid time up there. Could open the door. Bouchard was the one that's going to get called up. I don't really necessarily how long they can keep Michael Toglia down there. If he keeps hitting home runs and the Rockies need power up at the major league level. It depends, obviously, if Toglia can hit at the major league level. But that injury and the injury to Nolan Jones, the leg injury that's delaying him, it's going to give obviously some more time to stuff. But actually, let me go find this tweet from a Rockies fan that I've seen on Twitter before here, because it sets the stage, I think, and it's important to bring this up in this conversation here. This was before the game yesterday. Jake Cave has 0 extra base hits since April 7th. He also has the Rockies' most starts in right field during this time frame, in which he is hitting 239, 278, 239. This is from at Oak Tree Status, 517 OPS. Hunter Goodman has one more total base than Cave over this span, despite having only 66% of Cave's at bats. The Cave thing's got to stop. Gotta stop. I'm sorry. He got too many starts. I know that it was the defense and the veteran stuff, and there have been some moments, but I think that's the type of you need to realize, and you need to dive deeper into those numbers when we're talking about a player like Cave taking the playing time and complicating the issue. Right field is not supposed to be for Jake Cave. It's supposed to be for Hunter Goodman. It's supposed to be for Sean Bouchard. It's supposed to be for Michael Toglia. It's supposed, there's about, the list goes on and on and on. Jake Cave has had some big moments. Jake Cave, has done some stuff. But when you look at the big picture overall, when you look at all the at-bats, when you look at all of the game, when you look at all of the innings, that's a problem. And when you over-rely on that veteran, and as we know, there's someone that absolutely loves to play his veterans. It's Bud Black, and it's the philosophy of the Colorado Rockies. The team was vibing in a different spot when you had these young guys in the lineup. I know Jake Cave was a factor in the winning streak. I think he played and started in almost all those games, but still, it wasn't necessarily directly just for him. I know the big plays, but the winning streak's over. Now is the time to make sure that you're getting all of these opportunities matter for these young guys. The development matters more. I care way more about the season of every young guy on the Rockies than I do about the season of Jake Cave. And it's nothing against Jake Cave, but Jake Cave's role is the veteran bench player. That's what he was signed to do on this team. He was not signed to be the starting right fielder. And for him to be the de facto starting right fielder in a situation in which they had an increased spot for playing more of their young guys, it just doesn't sit right with me. It's Jake Cave is not going to be the difference maker in all of the games. He might impact some, and as he has before. But I also believe that Hunter Goodman has the ability to impact games. I believe that Sean Bouchard has the ability to impact games, and I believe they need to be given the opportunity to do that. The Rockies haven't always been, don't always do that, which is a frustrating thing for me. Rockies playing the Guardians. Things getting started here today. A quick turnaround with the day game coming up as well. So elite pitching staff coming in here for the Guardians. The Rockies are going to have to make it an uncomfortable place for them to play and do exactly what they did to Philly. You got to jump out ahead early. The best thing the Rockies can do, and one of the best signs we have seen from the Rockies since the winning streak was snapped, and even through the tough series in Oakland, the Rockies are getting ahead early. The Rockies are being the team that jumps ahead first, that's getting on the scoreboard first, and that's a great improvement there. We're running out of time. So, if you need the previews, go check it out there, because we're going to wrap things up here on today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Go check out the YouTube channel, subscribe, join us there. For your second listen of the day, go check out Locked On MLB, or if you need more Colorado sports coverage, Locked On Broncos, Locked On Avalanche, Locked On Nuggets, Locked On Buffs. Got you covered, free and streaming on your favorite streaming services. Until next time, I'm Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.